One fight, one chance. Joseph Parker and Fabio Wardley step into the ring, not just for pride, but for the golden ticket, the final path to Oleksandr Usyk.
Joseph Parker and Fabio Wardley to...
What's a fight that's going to be?
Top the bill. Just talk to me about this fight getting made, because they weren't really linked before, Frank. So why are you putting your WBA guy and your WBO guy in together?
Frank Warren's explanation shows the political and strategic backbone of this match. Parker and Wardley were not originally linked, yet Warren saw the gap created by Usyk's hold on the division. Instead of letting his fighters rot in limbo, he forces action by pitting a WBA name against a WBO name, essentially creating a de facto elimination.
Because we're going to ask the organisations to make sure, because the BO's next, then it's the BA, that the winner of that fights Mr. Usyk. That's what they're going to do. So they're fighting for the right.
What this means is that Parker, despite already being proven, has to earn another shot in the ring rather than by boardroom negotiation. For Wardley, this is an immediate chance at global relevance. Both men are therefore pushed into a situation where there is no hide, no cherry picking, no soft touches, only a winner who walks toward Usyk. This backdrop already frames Parker as the more experienced and potentially sharper fighter, since he has walked through these political minefields before and knows how to thrive when the stakes are highest.
So it's like your final elimination for Usyk, essentially.
Yeah, we're making it ourselves by Usyk's injured. Otherwise, we've got to sit around making an interim title fight. So they're two interim champions fighting each other. It's a cracker of a fight.
Follow-up stresses the urgency created by Usyk's injury. Frank Warren essentially admits, if Usyk weren't sidelined, none of this would be happening. The belts are locked away, the division stalls, and promoters have to keep their fighters busy. So this isn't just a regular fight. It's a battle for relevance in an era where Usyk holds the key.
Is this essentially because the division's being held up a little bit?
It is. I mean, it's, you know, he's put his thing in, he's injured, and there's nothing we can do about that. So in the meantime, we're making things happen.
Parker understands this better than most. He's been around long enough to know that inactivity kills momentum. By stepping into this fight, he ensures he isn't forgotten in the conversation for titles. Wardley, meanwhile, benefits from the chance of a lifetime. But unlike Parker, he doesn't yet know the brutal rhythm of heavyweight politics. That difference could play a key role when the fight turns tactical and mental rather than just physical.
I can kind of understand why Joseph Parker feels the need to stay active, have another fight, stay busy, because if he's gonna go in the ring against Oleksandr Usyk, he wants to be in.
Here, the analysis pivots toward Parker's desire to stay sharp. Against a technician like Usyk, the worst thing a fighter can be is rust. Parker is taking Wardley not because Wardley is the logical next opponent, but because Parker knows inactivity will rot his reflexes, dull his instincts, and weaken his competitive edge.
I get it, you know what I mean? He wants to be as fit as possible, battle ready to go in there against a great fighter like Oleksandr Usyk. Yeah, so I can understand why Joseph Parker is taking on Fabio Wardley.
While he's been active, he's never been tested at Parker's level. So Parker's willingness to take this fight speaks to discipline, preparation, and foresight, qualities that often win when talent alone isn't enough.
But my opinion, just me personally, I felt like the WBO should just take the responsibility away from Oleksandr Usyk and just strip him of the WBO belt. You know, just strip him off it.
The host's take, stripping Usyk outright, speaks volumes about frustration in the sport. But for Parker, this conversation is both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, some argue he should already be champion, elevated without lifting another glove. On the other, Parker is forced once again to prove himself in a punishing sport where politics usually favors the loudest mouths, not the quiet workhorses.
And let Joseph Parker be elevated to the main champ, become the champion, and defend it against Fabio Wardley. That's my take on it when the fight was first announced.
This fight against Wardley is Parker's rebuttal to politics. You don't need to strip Usyk. I'll fight my way into the mandatory slot again. That's grit. That's defiance. And that's the kind of mindset that often carries a fighter like Parker past young, hungry, but less seasoned challengers like Wardley.
Somebody that deserves a world title shot is Joseph Parker.
Facts.
And somehow, when you sent me the announcement that this fight is the fight they're talking about next, and I said, this is ridiculous. And you said, why is it ridiculous? And I said, we'll save it.
Ade Oladipo's comments hammer home the injustice of Parker's way. For nearly 2 years, Parker has been a man without a title shot, despite consistent performances and a resume stacked with top names. Wardley, in comparison, has not had to grind for that same recognition. Eight's frustration mirrors what many fans feel. Parker is overdue.
For the podcast, but this is just giving me vibes of Dillian White losing to Povetkin.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Facts.
Joseph Parker, we've said for like a year and a half, 2 years, he deserves his title shot. He deserves his title shot. He deserves his title shot.
That sense of being overdue often produces fighters who are hungrier, sharper, and more motivated to seize their moment when it finally comes. If Parker feels this fight is his true ticket to Usyk, he won't allow Wardley to block. That psychological edge could play a massive role once fatigue sets in and both men have to dig deep.
He deserves it. Bro, where's this world title shot? And I'm just going further and further and further down the rung of fighters because
if you think
Fabio
about
Wardley just beat Justice Hooney in Ipswich.
Yeah, facts.
So how are we headlining? This has got to be a headline.
This section dives into the belt bottleneck problem. Every heavyweight belt sits with Usyk, and unless you fight him, you don't fight for a title. That creates frustration and stagnation. Parker recognizes this trap, but instead of complaining, he takes action. Wardley benefits from this circumstance, too, but the difference is Parker's adaptability. He's been here before, fighting in eras where Klitschko dominance left contender strength.
The issue as it currently stands is all the belts are with Usyk. So if he's not fighting Usyk, who does he fight? He hasn't fought since he fought Bukoli, and that wasn't much of a fight. So who else is he going to fight?
He knows how to prepare for fights that matter even without a belt directly attached. That maturity is crucial. Wardley may be motivated by opportunity, but Parker is motivated by survival, reputation, and proving his relevance. That kind of layered motivation is usually more powerful in the championship round.
I'm expecting a very, very good fight that night. But I'm not expecting a... How would I explain it? Remember when we had the press conference? It never happened. But remember when we had that first press conference from Miller Wardley? And it was just...
Liam Goff draws attention to the tone of the press conference. Unlike chaotic face-offs we've seen before, this one is respectful. Wardley will bite back if provoked, but Parker is not the type to play mind games. He is calm, measured, and polite. This difference actually works in Parker's favor. Wardley thrives on energy and chaos, but when that is absent, he has to rely purely on skill.
Yeah, I'm not expecting that. I didn't expect it with Justice Hooney, and I certainly don't expect it with Joe Parker and Fabio Wardley. It's not to say Wardley is the sort of guy where he'll bite back if the opponent does, or if, say, the manager does.
Parker, being unfazed and unflappable, forces Wardley into a straight boxing match rather than a psychological war. And in a straight boxing match, Parker's experience and fundamentals may well prove superior. Sometimes composure outside the ring translates into composure inside, and Parker has that composure in abundance.
Wardley's not going to try and push it. He's not that type of guy. He's certainly someone where, you know, if you put it on him, in the ring or verbally, you know, he's not going to take that you-know-what lying down, and he'll come at you. But, you know, he's not that type of guy inclined.
The follow-up continues on character and style. Parker is consistently described as a nice guy, a man who never goes looking for drama. This plays perfectly into his ring identity. Steady, reliable, fundamentally sound. Wardley, by contrast, is fiery when provoked. This creates a clear stylistic clash.
Joseph Parker has always been a very... Look, Joseph Parker is a nice guy. That's what he is. And again, at this press conference, it was a bit more of that. It was respectful between both guys.
Parker will try to box systematically, using patience and skill. Wardley will attempt to turn it into a firefight. But firefights against calm, experienced fighters often end badly for the less seasoned man. Parker has survived wars with heavy punchers before. He knows how to ride storms. If Wardley forces chaos, Parker may actually thrive in it, absorbing, countering, and breaking him down over time.
Can I just go back a step, right? Because I wouldn't criticise Usyk. Well, he hasn't long beaten it. I don't think Joe Parker really is criticising him. He's just being the squeaky wheel because he can be. Yeah, right? He's in that position.
Adam Booth's remarks highlight the bureaucratic side of frustration. He clarifies that Parker isn't attacking fighters, but the system, specifically the WBO. This matters because Parker's frustration is controlled. It doesn't cloud his training or mindset. He channels it correctly, understanding that politics are beyond his control, but performance is not. That's professionalism. Wardley, in contrast, hasn't faced these frustrations yet.
But ultimately, the decision, you talk about the WBO championship, right? Because that's the only one he has the position for. Yeah. So really, if anyone wants to make a comment of frustration towards any element, make it towards the WBO, because they're the ones. If Usyk has to apply for an extension to the, they don't have.
He's still at the stage where everything feels like opportunity rather than injustice. That difference between hardened veteran cynicism and youthful optimism often tips the balance in high-pressure fights. Parker is mentally tougher because he's fought not just men, but the system itself.
Is it a good fight? Is it the right fight for Fabio?
Well, I think Joe Parker wins it. I think
Does that make it the right fight for Fabio?
the guy that he
Well,
just
it's
fought
the
was
right
Justice
opportunity.
Junior,
It's all
wasn't it?
about
Justice
opportunity.
Junior,
And you have to, it's the right fight, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, I
For
think
Fabio.
so.
This section cuts to the chase. Is this the right fight for Wardley? Some argue it isn't, because Parker will likely win. And yet, opportunity dictates risk. For Wardley, this is his step into global relevance. For Parker, it's another must-win scenario.
They're both at the top of the tree, and it's the fight.
His last fight was in the stadium as well, in his hometown.
Well, yeah, I'm not talking about the scale of the fight, I'm talking about the opponent, because ultimately what we saw from Fabio Wardley, who I like very much and admire very much.
What makes this fascinating is that both are at the top of the tree in their own ways, but Parker has the richer roots. He's been in stadium fights, fought champions, and dealt with every kind of style. Wardley hasn't. The question then becomes, when skill meets opportunity, does experience outweigh hunger? Booth and Oliver both suggest yes, because Parker is simply better equipped to navigate these waters.
Stylistically, it's good for Wardley because he won't have to look for Parker. Yeah. He had to look for Hooney. Hooney was taller, rangier, slippery, and it's quite hard to pin down. Wardley likes a guy to sit in the pocket, and Joseph Parker, yes, he's a good boxer, but he will sit in the pocket as well. He will fight. So I think stylistically, it's a good fight for both of them.
Finally, we break down stylistics and mistakes. Oliver notes that Wardley likes fighters who stay in the pocket, and Parker fits that bill. But Booth adds that Parker won't make rook mistakes. He's too seasoned.
Joe Parker won't make the same type of complacent mistake from round 1 to round 12 because he's gone through the middle of the heavyweight division. He's got experience. He's had world champion. He's fought great fighters of his time. And he won't make that mistake. Joe Parker will systematically apply his game.
This creates the key narrative of the fight. Wardley's best chance is that Parker gives him opportunities, but Parker has already learned those lessons in blood. His systematic approach, his refusal to be complacent, and his championship-level experience give him the tools to not only survive, but thrive in Wardley's preferred kind of fight. It's the kind of matchup where Parker's patience can dismantle Wardley's aggression, proving once again why experience is the deadliest weapon in boxing. Joseph Parker versus Fabio Wardley isn't just another headline fight. It's the forced eliminator, the collision born of heavyweight policy. For Parker, it's survival, relevance, and a final climb back to the summit. For Wardley, it's opportunity, a shot at legitimacy. But across every angle, politics, psychology, stylistics, and experience, the scales lean toward Parker. He has the composure, the preparation, and the championship resume. Wardley has fire, yes, but Parker has weathered storms fiercer than this. When the dust settles, Joseph Parker may not just win. He may remind the world why he deserves that long overdue dance with Oleksandr Usyk.